On that note, I mentioned this recently. Just want to kind of throw this into this mix with this question. Florida State has a bunch of linebackers that are good. Elijah Herring sounds like he's the most likely starter, but do they really have 2 or 3 guys to key for each game that they can plug in against any kind of offense? That's a question I have, and I don't have any idea if there's an answer. It sounds like they got a whole bunch of good players, but do they have a dude? You need somebody that you can really depend on in any defense. At inside linebacker, Herring's the most likely, but what if he got banged up or when he's got to come out of the lineup? And who are the other guys that are really going to be able to step up and make plays? I need to hear definitive, like 2 or 3 names. And Tony went through like 6 or something like that the other day in his presser. To me, he's just trying to motivate. Like, they're playing hard, but I'm not sure that they've figured it out yet. Maybe I'm reading into that wrong, but that was my take. Let's see here. We got Bob H. What happened to the old days when people talked about how difficult winning on the road was? No mention in the media about that game at Doak. That's why I brought this up. Bob, you're right. I totally agree. You can't just assume you're going to win in places like Florida State. I forget who it was. Somebody did bring that up. Like, might have been listening, somebody on the Cover 3 podcast or something. I can't remember, but it's not easy to win at Doak Campbell. It just never has been. Rhinos, Conrad Husky is no longer on the team. That is correct. Can you name some of the potential breakout players on both offense and the defense? We're talking about for Florida State. I just went through them. But for Alabama, I mean, they got more guys than they can shake a stick at. Like the guy that probably, just to throw it in there for Florida State fans too, Quay Russaw is the guy I'm most curious about for them. He's an edge rusher, played at Carver High School in Montgomery. He's a freaky athlete, 5-star by some people. Outside of him, I mean, they got so many players. I wish I know which running back it was probably going to be. Maybe Richard Young kind of gets some play. Daniel Hill, maybe. Those guys were super highly rated. Xavier Brown, a sophomore out of California, corner. Maybe Dejon Wee plays a little bit at corner. Alabama's got both, but we'll see. For Florida State, like I said, they got a bunch of guys. I've went through those pretty quick. Can Danzy be an every down receiver? At some point, right now, no. You got to remember, he played running back in high school, and he was a track athlete. He spent as much time, Mekhi has, running track as he has played football, if I was to guess. I went to see him at a practice at Florida High in Tallahassee before the start of his senior year. Super athlete, super athlete. But he was a kid that they had him return punts and stuff, and he just ran the ball. He wasn't running routes, really. Just some basic swing routes and stuff, but that's it. It's a complete start over. Do I think he's ready? No, I don't. So we'll see what happens, but my guess is he's a guy that's going to need quite a bit of time, and he's probably more of an option next year to be an every down player. This year, spot duty, jet sweep, fake pass, fake toss, just doing things like that. And maybe he ends up being on the kickoff team. Linebacker group is pretty deep. Jerry Wilson is DB1. Earl Little plays with his hair on fire. That's true. Kevin Wynn is a monster freshman who will play meaningful snaps this season. I'm very excited about all those things you just said, Jordy. There ain't no doubt. Warren Hester. Chroma is the man. Yeah, Chroma's going to be really, really good. There's no doubt about it. He's going to be really good. Chroma is grown man out there. That is from Mario Nash. Warren Chroma likes to contact. He's one of the better guys in terms of breaking tackles that I've seen in quite some time. I really think that Chroma is a guy that will do a really good job, and I mean a really good job, at getting through that first guy, even if it's head up, a lot of contact. He just breaks arm tackles, and even sometimes when he gets hit in the rig, like he finds a way to get around. Just really, really good at it. Let's see here. Georgie, on offense, Chroma is a dude. Boggs is really good. Tight end room looks good. Deuce and Squirrel are dynamic. Deuce is better athlete than Johnny Wilson with better hands. And Squirrel, and it cuts off. Squirrel is a twitchy burner. There it is. Yanni. What are your thoughts on Tommy showing both the passing ability of this past season and running of this season before? Last year, the offense that Tommy Castellanos played in was about as horrible a fit as there was. Why Bill O'Brien had Tommy try to play in that offense, I have no idea. Terrible idea. Bill O'Brien is a very stubborn guy. I've heard a lot of other things about him. I'll leave it at that in terms of being just a pain to be around. And it's one of the reasons they sucked last year. You have to play to your strengths. Player doesn't adjust the offense. The offense has to adjust the player, especially quarterback. Don't put a running mobile threat quarterback in a read and react system after the snap. It's stupid. But that's what they did at Boston College. So Tommy ended up leaving there. I don't think it was a good situation the way he did it, but something tells me that Bill O'Brien, from all things I've heard about him, didn't make it real easy to stay either. So as they say, a little bit of fault on both sides of the equation there. Matthew, you don't know Bama, blah, blah, blah. Your takes are 100%. Dude, you have no idea who I am. No idea. If I'm not a Bama homer, you don't like it. Goodbye. Bill Reeder, Bama's last 14 games are 9-5. Bama's last 7 games away from Tuscaloosa, 2-5. Welcome to Doak. That's a great stat line. I did not know that. 2-5 in their last 7 contests away. That's pretty impressive. Mario Nash, 2 of the starters on the O-line have already beat Bama once in their career. I believe the confidence is pretty high with those guys up front. It should be. They're experienced. There's absolutely no doubt about it. If you see Michael Danzy, you better hope there's someone on his hip when the ball is snapped. World-class speed and athleticism. Let me go one step further. On his hip isn't good enough. He'll be the fastest player on the field. He is sub 45 in the 400 meters. That is insane. He is a world record kind of guy before he's done with track. He's that kind of speed. So at his hip at the line, you're going to be 5 yards behind him in 20 yards. He is elite. Whether or not he knows the route tree, whether he knows how to break off routes, read coverages, all that stuff, the football aspect, that's what he's got to figure out. We'll see what he does, but they're going to have to get him the ball at least a few times this year, I would think. People don't see how good Florida State will be at the skill positions over the next couple of seasons. O-line, quarterback remains to be seen, though. That's fair. Florida State in skill talent, just general comment here, there's never an excuse. Never an excuse. DB, even DN is kind of a skill position. Wide receiver, running back, and to a certain degree, tight end. Florida State should never not be a top 20 team at any of those positions. And most of the time, they should be top 10 in all of them. Historically, and it's by a bazillion miles, Florida State's weakest position is offensive line. Not even in question. They've had some great ones like Walter Jones, Brett Williams, etc. They've had some great guys. But that's not the consistency like with D-line, corner, the receiver room, like Florida State's positions at other spots are just on a whole nother level. And to be honest with you, I think that's the case with most teams down south. There's a lot of track athletes down here. It's easy to recruit, and it's not that hard. It's just not that hard at all to recruit top-notch athletes to Tallahassee. When you think about all the players that are close to Florida State within a 5-hour radius, it should never be considered that difficult. And I don't think that's going to change either. So if they get good O-line play this year, they'll surprise some teams. If they don't, it'll be more difficult. When we come back, we're going to continue on the discussion with Florida State and Bama. That is next here on Locked On Seminoles. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your shot on MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or even ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before the week 1 kicks off, this is your moment. So it could be anything, like Patrick Mahomes for MVP. Maybe you've got the Bills winning the Super Bowl. Maybe you've got playoff predictions for something else. It's so much fun with the NFL because it's so competitive. There's a lot of ways to go. You could even talk about individual player races for Defensive Player of the Year or anything else. And if you visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures, because futures day is just one day and only one day, you've got that opportunity. Don't miss it. Again, the day for that is August 26th. FanDuel, play your game. All right, let's get back into the chat here just a little bit. Let's see what we got. Luke, if Florida State upsets Bama, do you think that would put them in the top 25 in for week 2 or not yet? Absolutely. There's probably top 15 or so. Bama's a top 10 team. Everybody knows Florida State has talent, but nobody really knows whether to make higher tails of that. So, and to that point, I'm friends with Bud Elliott, and I respect the heck out of Bud. He's got the blue chip ratio. I've been using that kind of system where you got the same teams at the top who can win it, blah, blah, blah. He made a comment that I want to note the other day on the Cover 3 podcast. If you don't listen to Cover 3 podcast, I think it's a lot of fun. I'm not even a gambler by trade, but it's still a lot of injury news, a lot of information. It's pretty good. He said he thinks Bama is going to blow Florida State out. And Bud is a Florida State fan and grad. Ironically, he got his law degree from Alabama, but he is not an Alabama guy. First-hand knowledge, he is not. He thinks Bama is going to beat Florida State. And one of the main reasons is he said they've had a lot of guys banged up from spring. He thinks that's going to hurt them, going to slow down the offense. But everything I've heard here lately is that Florida State's offense has been playing pretty well. To that point, Coach White wasn't very happy, being kind, with what was going on regarding the defense and the accountability of some players. If you haven't watched Coach White's most recent press conference, go check that out. I can only explain it so much. You have to physically hear it and see it. Like his body language when talking about some of that, he was not a happy camper. And it wasn't like he was just mad at the whole defense. It was more individualized, but it's pretty interesting. Let's see, Mr. Reader, August 30th, hottest day of the year in Florida, 95 degrees, 93% humidity, 3:30 kickoff. It's going to be rough on both teams. I think it'd be a little worse for Bama. They're in northern Alabama, but still, they're in the South. Most of those kids get it. It will be brutal. If you do not hydrate, if you do not prepare correctly as a player, you will not do well in that weather. Brian, how is special teams? That is from John Shields. I haven't heard anything about Florida State special teams. If anybody's got anything, fire away. I've got nothing. Now, this is one of the things about Coach Norvell just basically telling the media to pound sand and not come in. We've heard little nooks and crannies that, a couple field goals made or whatever. But who's on the punt team? Who's returning kicks and punts? Are they really good at trying to get after punt? But I have no idea. And if you're going to upset Alabama, this is a great question. It's a great question. You've got to either block a punt, get or at least affect one, and maybe go off the side of his foot, get a 15-yard punt. It's kind of like a turnover. You need something like that to give you a short field for at least one score. At least one score. Special teams would be a great way to do that. Let's see here. Thanks, Brian. As a Miami fan, I want FSU to be good. Thank you for all the hard work. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Mario Nash, yes, senior. Let's see. Georgie. All I like, Luke, is that if Bama were to somehow lose this game, then DeBoer might not make it back to the tarmac. I don't think they're going to fire him. His contract is way too big. Besides that, who would they hire? If FSU beats Bama, which I fully believe they will, then they will win the next 12 games. This is not the 24 team you will see. That is from MKHMWN. I'm not buying that Florida State's going undefeated. You're on your own on that one, brother. Let's see. Ty Simpson was 5-9 under Saban. I don't know much about the record. He didn't start any games, though, I don't think. Nicholas, Clemson seems like they're going to be really good. Clemson, to me, is the most likely loss on the schedule because it's in Death Valley. That's a tough place to play. Let's see. Georgia, so did Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State is a wild game. That's when it happens, man. If you take teams for granted, that's what happens. You get beat. Yanni, odds on Ty Simpson having over one pick. I don't think it's terrible. 20-25% is what I would say the likelihood is. The reason I say that it's not higher than that is I don't think they're going to put him in a lot of tough spots. Even if they get behind, I think they'll be very conservative with throwing it. They won't throw to the middle of the field. It'll be screens and bombs. They're going to avoid the middle of the field like the plague. Let's see. Warren Hester. Alabama lost to Vandy last year. That is a fact. B. Ryder. DeBoer is 9-4. All L's away from Tuscaloosa. Welcome to Doak. Let's see. Vandy beat Bama. That is true. Georgie, Miami lost a game at home that they had won if they had just kneeled the ball. That is something I'm never going to forget for the rest of my life. That is one of the dumbest coaching decisions I have ever seen. Do you think if FSU goes 7-5, Norvell keeps his job? I think he keeps his job if they go 5-7. And the reason is $50 million. Florida State doesn't have the money to buy him out. They're all in on him coming back next year to otherwise proven. That's what I believe. Get that guy out of here. Mario Cristobal made it to the Pop-Tart Bowl. That's from Georgie. That is true. Miami's 58 home game streak. Alabama 57. FSU 52. Doak third best home field advantage in college football. It's one of the best. When Doak is loud, man, it's crazy. I rewatched just for fun the choke at Doak yesterday. That place is not like the fans stuck around even when Florida State was getting blitzkrieged. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I heard Chroma reminded him of Ricky Waters. What say you? Ricky Waters is probably faster. He was, before a lot of people on this that are listening to this probably know, but he was late 80s through about 2000. He played at Notre Dame. Then he played for 49ers, Philadelphia Eagles, and Seahawks. He was electric. Probably a little faster, but Chroma's ability to break tackles like Ricky, very similar. That first guy, neither one of them do very well. Georgie, Bobby Bowden has more ACC titles in Miami since they joined. That's sad. Miami still has 0. Unbelievable. Big Ten is on top. Right now, they're pretty good. At the top of the board, Big Ten, they're like their top 4 teams, I would agree with that. Let's see. FSU all-time versus SEC, 72, 71, and 6, 45, 30, and 2 since 1976. Let's see. Beat LSU twice. Georgie, our biggest weakness is the newest of it all. New players, schemes, coaches. Join that to the lack of depth, then you don't have a lot of room for true success. Success being ACC championship and in the playoff. I agree, and that's why I'm not picking Florida State to go to the playoff. I think they're a 7-5, 8-4 team. I'm leaning towards 8-4, but they don't have enough proven players, in my opinion, because all the things you just said, to be that team. That's just my opinion. Let's see. Georgie, Deuce was taking reps at returner. I laughed at the ridiculousness of it. He's 6'4", 6'5", at least. I don't think he's going to be returning much. Let's see. Yanni. In your opinion, now looking at Chromahawk decision to leave, do you think it was wrong? I heard it was more them just wanting NIL. Once it gets into the NIL stuff, I'm out. It's just the way it is, man. There's no way around it. What are your thoughts on our D-line depth? It's pretty good, and it matches what they're trying to do defensively. This is from Rod Stoudemire. But I also think Florida State's ability to rush the passer is the biggest question mark. You got Jaden Jones. You got James Williams. You got the Desir twins. But who are the guys that are going to come off the edge beyond that? I don't know. I haven't heard much else. We'll see, but Florida State needs to be able to get in there and make something happen. Not just on the edge. They got to get some D tackle pressure beyond Darrell. Daniel Lyons, KJ Sampson. Somebody else has got to get in there and be consistent with pressure. Now I want to talk a little bit about the last bit before I wrap it up. Is anybody really buying the Miami hype? Kind of want to just talk about something else besides the Bama game for a second. Been a lot of people thinking that Miami is going to be the second best team in the ACC, and they might be, but they got Notre Dame early on. They got Florida. They've got to play a schedule that's pretty good, but they always lose those games. You're like, where did that come from? Georgia Tech 2 years in a row. The Syracuse game, they're up 21-0. Do we believe in Mario is the first question. As a game day coach, and I do not. He's not proven it, so why would I? Remember, the Stanford game several years ago when he was at Oregon, the first time he didn't take a knee and it cost him. They lost that game too. Then the Georgia Tech game a couple of years ago as a Miami coach, I'm not buying it. But here are the other questions I have about the Miami team this year, and this includes coming to Doak. Carson Beck, is he ready to take hits? I guarantee you Florida, and especially Notre Dame, they blitz like crazy. They're going to smack him around a little bit. Is he going to be able to get up off the mat after getting hit? I need to see it. That elbow injury he had was nasty. Don't wish that on anybody, but it's football. If he's ready to handle that game in, game out, they can be 9-3 or better. But if he either A, just gets hurt, or B, he's shying away, backing up when he's got guys in his face, they're 8-4, 7-5. They've got new receivers. Their transfers are pretty good, got a couple, but they don't have the same kind of depth they did before. They don't have the same kind of playmakers, and they don't have that big boundary receiver that is ready on the outside. They don't. To that point, this is very, very important. Miami, they're going to be a run-heavy team, really good offensive line, top 5 in the nation, in my opinion. You still got to be able to pass against the better teams. They're not going to come into Doak and push Florida State around. They're not going to push Florida around. They're not going to push Notre Dame around. He's going to have to be a big part of that. And their secondary last year was a sieve. They got all new guys. Who knows? Got a new defense coordinator. Wide receiver depth I already touched on. And then the one that nobody talks about, tight end. They had some good tight ends. They're gone. The mainstay tight ends. Now, they've got one guy that's going to be a sophomore. He was a good player last year, but he's more of an H-back fullback, not a real tall guy. He's about 6'1". They don't have that 6'5", 255-pound tight end with experience, proven ability. So we'll see with them. But what's everybody think about Miami? Let's see here. From Nole Nation. Hell no, they said that last year. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, it's nothing personal against Miami, but like they never seize their talent and get there. They still haven't won an ACC title. They still haven't. How is that possible? It's just insane. So to make a long story short, I don't think that Miami's going to be bad this year by any means. I just think they have more pitfalls than what's been let off. Their D-line will be good. Their O-line will be good. Their running back room's really good. Got a few receivers that I like their transfers. They got a lot of questions in terms of tight end, don't know. Defensive secondary, don't know. Not sure about linebacker depth. We need to see all those things. Defensive tackle, maybe, maybe not. Let's just see. James Davis, Miami will have a season like FSU did last year, not 2-10, but not anything like they think. I mean, if they went 7-5, it would not surprise me. Let's see. They have Tulane's tight end. Yeah, Bauman, 6'4". He was not a highly recruited kid. Ended up at Tulane. He transferred over. He's pretty good. Ironically, his brother was at Notre Dame the last several years. He just hurt his knee, and he retired. They were going to play against each other, their brothers. Let's see. Yanni. Miami's secondary is always a problem for them. I don't understand that. How can your secondary at Miami, of all places, be bad? How hard can it be to recruit DBs to Miami? You're in South Florida. It's just amazing. Last year, they couldn't run a zone defense. Couldn't do it. They sucked. So it's amazing. It's amazing. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much to everybody that showed up tonight and checking it out. I'll probably do a few more live shows over the next few weeks. May do several. It just depends on the news. For those that missed it, Conrad Hussey is no longer with the Florida State program. Just want to mention that again. That's a pretty big deal. That's one of your potential quote-unquote starting defensive backs coming into fall camp. It didn't work out and didn't look like he was going to play much. He has left the ball club. I don't know the reason. I don't know if it's something that is happened personally or if he just was mad about the playing time. Again, I don't know. But Conrad Hussey is no longer with Florida State. We will see you again soon here on Locked On Seminoles. We'll be around tomorrow. This show, by the way, I'm going to cut it up into 2 parts. Part 1, part 2, each 25, 30 minutes. And we're going to put those up on the tomorrow morning. And I'll do that with anything else we do as far as live shows moving forward. So please hit that like, hit that subscribe, share this podcast, comment down below. And if you're on Apple, please hit that automatic down below. This has been Locked On Seminoles.